In today's video, we're going to be diving into the upcoming pattern, taking a look at some colder times ahead. We started off February on a very warm note as we predicted. However, things are going to be turning around in a big way here for the midway point and into the late portions of February, likely even bringing about frequent snow systems, very frequent, into the north central Ohio Valley and Great Lakes, Mid-Atlantic Northeast. There is going to be numerous snow threats for all of these areas, and like we're going to see later, this could add up to many inches of snowfall, maybe even a few feet of snowfall for certain places. So let's go ahead and dive into things. First off, taking a look at the 6 to 10 day outlook here from the National Weather Service. Still some colder air lingering along that west coast area, but we can tell the main trough is over the central states by this time frame. Even a lot of this cold air making its way into the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast already. A few days ago, we were discussing how we thought the Southeast Ridge would look a lot more like what they're calling for now. Days ago, they had it much further to the north and west, something like this, and I disagreed the whole time, and we've seen them kind of progressively regress that further to the south. And that is basically what I'm expecting to mostly take place on average. Keep in mind, at times this could surge to the north for 12 to 24 hours, but then equally the cold could push much further to the south. This is just the average point of where that southeast ridge will be at during the 14th through 18th. Precipitation is going to be much more kind of prevalent here throughout this midway point of the month as well. We see up and down the eastern states above average across the entire northern portions of the United States, and for portions of the southwest, even here above average in spots. Now, let's move towards the 8 to 14 day outlook, which will be for the 16th through 22nd of February. And at this point, the National Weather Service is showing a potential positive PNA, which really just means warmer temperatures in the west. That causes the colder air to dive into the central and eastern states even further, and we see that taking place here. So a full-blown positive PNA pattern being picked up by the National Weather Service now at this point, with a almost non-existent southeast ridge, pretty much non-existent. So we might move into a full-fledged cold pattern by the time we're reaching the midway point into the late point of February. Taking a look at the precipitation, still going to be very decent along this eastern seaboard area, indicative of potential nor'easters moving up the coast, if not some inland running storms that also could bring quite a bit of snowfall. And we still see the northwest expected to be above average, with really the main dry area over the southwest here. The 3 to 4 week outlook, which is brand new as of yesterday, we're just going to show it again here. This is going to be for the February 22nd through March 7th timeframe, and still looking like the most cold area is going to be for the north central into the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley, and then Mid-Atlantic and Northeast areas here, with the warmest being over the southwest, potentially a positive PNA look. A little bit south-based, but there is equal chances to the north, so this could push even further northward, especially at times. And a miniature southeast ridge, equal chances in between. So again, we could have something similar to what we have now expected over the coming weeks, or perhaps a lot colder, as this is, again, equal chances, meaning it can go either way. Mainly the blue areas we're looking for cold, red areas we're looking for warmer than what's normal for these individual areas. Precipitation also looking quite ripe for above average precipitation in the east. This could bring about some thunderstorms underneath. Snowfall events to the north, as this is kind of combined with some cold. In the northwest retains a lot of their activity that they're starting to see moving in. Could get even more active here over time. Let's take a look here at the past 7 days of temperatures. We don't have the 8th day here. They run in increments of 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 10, 14, 15, 20, and 30 day periods. So we miss a few in between, as you can tell. But in 2 days from now, we'll be able to look at the first 10 days as a whole. Really, the main look is warm to the south, cold in the northwest here, and then a little bit of colder air here across the northeast. But for the most part, we've seen a warmer east here to start out the month of February. This is going to turn around in a big way over time. Let's take a look at the European model run here. And as we can see, we're going to just take this towards this afternoon, and we already see some storms flaring up by this point. Even snowfall here for the upper Midwest and Great Lakes. This will eventually bring snowfall to the east, the Northeast in particular, as well very, very soon. We get showers and actually some thunderstorms likely here for the Ohio Valley and Tennessee Valley. Should be more just rain showers here off to the east. A lot of times in the early season, we do have this kind of ocean air playing a role. It tends to, instead of causing instability, it actually adds stability to the atmosphere, and that can lessen the chance for thunderstorms when those waters are very cold, and that's what things are like obviously this time of year. So it's really hard to get east coast thunderstorms compared to areas inland, and that's why we're seeing a difference between areas east and west of the Appalachian Mountain Range. As we take a look overnight, we do see this low is expected to transfer offshore of, I would say, New Jersey. We're seeing ice throughout Pennsylvania and New Jersey. This is by 1 a.m. Later on tonight. What we see is snowfall throughout the Great Lakes still, eastern Canada, and then a lot of the Northeast, specifically New York, southern New England here, seeing very, very heavy snowfall that could accumulate 6, 8, 10 inches in certain spots. For sure, by Sunday afternoon, we're still seeing some snow showers for New England left over. Also some rain showers and perhaps a thunderstorm or two underneath for the deeper south areas here. Again, Sunday afternoon tomorrow from the time I'm making this video, right before the Super Bowl. Who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl? Let me know in the comments. I'm kind of tossed up on it, honestly. Eagles or Chiefs. Obviously, I think most people are hoping for the Eagles to win at this point, just because, well, the Chiefs have won a lot recently. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you're hoping for down below. I want to hear you guys' thoughts. Let's take a look here at Monday afternoon. By the time we're reaching the 10th of February, again, we'll have that new 10-day temperature look. We do see some snowfall for the Rockies. It's pretty marginal. The Dakotas, some of the northern plains, and then some rain showers and thunderstorms for Texas, Oklahoma, eastward across the Gulf states. Again, nothing too crazy. Let's take this a step further. I want to take this towards Tuesday afternoon because this is an interesting date. Both major models do show some deeper south mid-Atlantic snowfall here. I would say West Virginia, Central Virginia into DC, Maryland on the northern extent, the Delmarva. Those areas could end up with a healthy, plowable snowfall event as well Tuesday the 11th. That area kind of moves through. We see snowfall kind of retaining into like the Wednesday timeframe here. And then we get this southeast ridge flexing a little bit. This is what I mean by at times. It starts to flex around this time frame, warming things up, also tilting your jet stream up to the north here, which is going to influence these storm tracks to move along the jet stream and up and around these southern areas there. We do see thunderstorms and showers, especially over this area here, but also I'd say for the southeast, potentially in those heavier pockets, seeing some thunderstorms in this warmer pocket by Wednesday the 12th. Here is Thursday the 13th, about the morning hour, 10 a.m. Eastern. We see this low is near Lake Erie there. We see 1,003. It's not the strongest low in the world, but I've always talked about how you don't need a super strong low to see strong impacts, and this is one of those instances. I mean, we have moderate to heavy snowfall widespread throughout portions of Michigan, Canada, New York, northern New England. This is a relatively weak and marginal low, bringing some significant snowfall and also potentially some significant ice for areas of more southern New York, southern New England, northern Pennsylvania. And then thunderstorms and heavier showers prevailing here across the deep south and up into kind of the southern mid-Atlantic or northern southeast areas. Also for the southwest, we do see a low coming on shore, bringing some Sierra Nevada snowfall and far southern Rockies snowfall, and then rainfall for a lot of Arizona, Nevada, Southern California. Whenever those areas get significant rainfall, it's worth noting, I would say. Let's move this towards Friday afternoon, and what we see is our second or third storm here has gone ahead and moved out through the northeast. We're left with some thunderstorms down to the deep southeast. We get some low pressure growing for Colorado, and this is bringing some snowfall across a lot of your Sierra Nevada and Rocky Mountain ranges, as well as portions of the Midwest and Plains. And then rainfall still for the lower elevation regions. It's a pretty intense low, 998, and it is strengthening. What we see is that moves across. Oftentimes they do transfer like this. By the time we're reaching Saturday afternoon, we have a weaker low by this point. Kind of the heart of it is somewhere in here. And we get snowfall off to the north areas of the Great Lakes, Mid-Atlantic, Northeast, seeing another moderate to heavy snowfall event. We see for the deep south areas underneath for the Ohio Valley and southern Mid-Atlantic, again, showers and thunderstorms prevailing here by this Saturday the 15th time frame. By Sunday the 16th, we see this low strengthens to a 994. Strong cold front stretching underneath, and this will bring a thunderstorm threat to states like West Virginia, Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Florida, and maybe even at times Mississippi and Louisiana before it moves fully eastward. So could be a pretty big thunderstorm threat or severe weather threat. We are almost 10 days out from this, so we don't know too many specifics, but we have seen models trending at a very strong low, a very strong cold front, and if the dynamics play out right, this could trend towards one of our more major severe weather events so far this year, if not the strongest one. But it's really tough to say. It could just be a, general thunderstorm risk or marginal risk, or it could be a slight or enhanced risk of severe weather, or perhaps more for certain areas. It's really, really hard to try to predict that. But the potential is there, is the important thing to note. With this strong cold front and this strong warm push to the north just to the east of it, we have to take this pretty seriously. Snowfall for the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, areas of the Northeast as well, particularly northern New York into northern New England, as this very strong low moves in. And we actually see the snowfall on the back end start to dip down further south into the Mid-Atlantic, where they do get some back end snowfall. It's now a 989 here off of New England. Again, now states like Pennsylvania, Virginia, and West Virginia getting some snowfall. Still New England and New York seeing some between Sunday and Monday. And then as things are ending out, we continue to see snow showers there and very, very cold air after the 16th. This storm is really been trending in as well. Some snowfall and rainfall for the more coastal areas here out in the Northwest. We've seen this almost every model run alongside this severe belt of cold air around the 17th. This has been a staple piece of these model runs for 4 days in a row, maybe 5 days in a row here. So we're starting to grow some confidence in this around the 8, 9, 10 day marks. Now, here's Monday the 17th, and we see, again, your jet stream looks a lot like that 8 to 14 day outlook from the National Weather Service, a growing positive PNA underneath for the Southwest, and deep cold air diving into the central and the eastern states here with a strong low over or around Maine, still bringing some snow showers to some areas in here. The Northwest continues to thrive with a major storm out there. Let's take this towards Tuesday afternoon, and a lot of that storminess from the Northwest has gone ahead and dived down into Colorado, where we now have a decent low, 997 there. And this is bringing snowfall throughout the Rockies and Cascades still. We're primed for this one to move eastward, so let's see what happens. It starts its trek eastward around Wednesday on the 19th. Low is somewhere in there. Snowfall for the Ohio Valley, Great Lakes, and moving into the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast as we see right here. Thunderstorms and heavier showers underneath for states like Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, maybe even South Carolina, and eventually Florida. So we are going to see a multi-state thunderstorm event, potentially with some of these lows in the long range as well. We're well beyond the dates for trying to really narrow down specifics. It's more just paying attention to trends, which the trend is strong lows, severe weather underneath, snowfall to the north, and that low can move around, which will dictate who sees which of those impacts. But those three staple pieces of the upcoming pattern, even at hours 300, seem to be a likelihood already, and that's the biggest takeaway here. Again, heavier snowfall through this pocket, northeast, western Mid-Atlantic, eastern Ohio Valley, eastern Tennessee Valley, areas in there, and very strong low here with broad low pressure. Potential for thunderstorms and severe weather underneath this are once again very, very present as we have this deep Arctic air moving into very stagnant, warm, and humid environment. Never a good recipe right there. And we see cold air, very cold air once again for the 20th, 21st, into the 22nd. Even at the end of the model run here, I mean, we have very warm air trending in for the southwest. This is a big piece of the upcoming puzzle. And then we have the cold air diving southward on the eastern end still by this point. Snowfall across the Ohio Valley and Mid-Atlantic here. Again, this is Sunday the 23rd. So more cold air, more snowfall trending towards the end of the model run, which can be taken as a trend. We're continuing to see the storminess and repetitive kind of southeast ridges that flex for 12 to 24 hours before cold air comes and pushes it out for multiple days at a time. That seems to be the trend from the 15th through the 23rd on this model run. GFS, a little more action-packed here. We see storm number 1, nothing too different. A major Great Lakes and Northeast snow event there. And then for this Mid-Atlantic one, very similar look. Again, Kentucky, West Virginia, Virginia, DC, Maryland, Southern Pennsylvania, Delmarva, Southern New Jersey. Decent storm. Then we get this more northern cutter type storm around the 13th. That's going to be Thursday, next Thursday. And then the 14th here, a little second bout of snowfall for the Mid-Atlantic. It's a little bit of some mixed precipitation. Let me turn this. I don't know why this is in Eastern time. So this is 10 a.m. Eastern. The west continues to thrive. Again, major snowfall in these mountain ranges with rainfall in the lower elevations around the 15th. Then we get a pretty major system there right around Sunday the 16th. Once again, you get your low here, dragging cold front moving into this stagnant warm environment. Could spell thunderstorms or even severe weather for these areas with snowfall in the northeast. Let's keep going. Cold air really moves in for the 17th, 18th. A little, again, mixed bag, Mid-Atlantic's, maybe snow event or just wintry precipitation mixed in. So something minor at this point is what that model's showing. We miss one here. We have the cold air moving in. We have this southern piece of energy right here that I'm circling. I'm going to underline the northern piece of energy, which is kind of sliding in, and they just don't come together. But we can see this is a swing and a miss. We're 300 plus hours out, so this could be a signal that really trends west or trends later to match up with the cold. That could be something. But regardless, we get this system here swinging underneath, kind of catching the wave, if you will, 993 over Georgia. This is a classic look. Snowfall for a lot of the Appalachian Mountain Range and hilly areas outside of there, especially to the west. As we keep going, look at this. Right near southern North Carolina, we start to develop really heavy snowfall. If this continues to be the trend, that we get these more extreme coastal lows with major snowfall matching up with this colder pattern coming up between the 15th and the end of February, we could be seeing a blockbuster type snowfall event. And again, the specifics in this instance don't matter too much. But the fact that these models are here and there showing these major blockbuster type storms in this upcoming pattern does mean something, and it does mean that this is what there is the potential to be. 977 just outside of the Chesapeake Bay. I would be 20 miles from the rain snow line maybe here. Very heavy snow there in Virginia, Maryland, DC. Again, thankfully the specifics don't matter, but this would be a big slap in the face, of course, for me. So I feel like that's kind of funny and worth noting. Of course, most areas do switch off to snowfall in this instance as we get down to a 968. So a very hefty snow event, perhaps a Mid-Atlantic coast and New England coast blizzard. In this instance, when you have a low this strong, you expect major winds, and this is significantly heavy snowfall. The problem is it's well beyond 10 days out, and this won't happen specifically like this. But again, seeing these major lows pop up with cold air, with snowfall in these areas is a trend that we can continue to watch. We've seen a couple of these in the upcoming pattern that have stuck around for days. We'll monitor this time frame as well, the 23rd through 24th. But again, no time to sound the alarm bells yet at all. It's definitely time to just kind of pay attention, pick up on the trends, and continue to monitor. There's plenty of time between now and then, and that goes for basically anything beyond the 10-day range, or in other words, 240 hours. 24 times 10, so 10 days. Once we move beyond that hours 240, that's when we're mostly looking for little trends to pick up on, kind of potential of what this pattern can put out, but not looking at it as in a thing that is going to specifically happen in most cases. With all that being said, let's move into the total precipitation. We do see the west does decent, but I can see a subtle decrease over time. And that happens as we've already seen a lot of the precipitation happen. If on the back end we're starting to slow down, you will gradually see this slow down. As you can see for the east, though, no slowdown in sight, and really maybe an uptick for the northeast, mid-Atlantic, southern mid-Atlantic, southeast, deep south, kind of Sea Valley there. Ohio Valley does get a decent amount, and so does the Great Lakes. So the east is really just flourishing as far as precipitation. When we look at the precipitation anomalies, the southwest actually gets the most above average precipitation, at least in the west. The Northwest requires so much that they actually miss out on the above average amounts and end up actually below average. Right there in the deep south, all the way up the east coast, we're expecting above average precipitation. In the blues, we're highly above average. So we are seeing some pretty significant precipitation over the coming weeks. Total snowfall on the European model is a bit further north than yesterday's model runs. So we'll have to monitor. Will they keep trending to the north? They do that sometimes. Or are we going to see it kind of flip-flop back and forth between south and north? That's going to be detrimental. Although we get a little less precipitation in the west, I'm still very impressed with the snowfall totals out there. The Great Lakes, Midwest, and Plains, especially the northern plains, do great with multiple feet of snowfall expected in certain spots. And the Mid-Atlantic, the heart of the Mid-Atlantic here, Philly, DC, Baltimore, Richmond, Virginia, these areas, Pittsburgh here. It's a little bit of a downgrade. We're still in the blues to purples, which would be plowable. In most instances, that's going to be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 inches. But for a 2-week period, I know you guys are hoping for more than that, so I do have my fingers crossed that that does increase from this point. The GFS model does have some good news, but keep in mind, most of this down here is happening at the end of the model run, so take it with a really significant grain of salt. We'll rewind this in a minute to get rid of that so we can see what it looks like without it. But over the Rockies, we do see still significant snowfall. Again, the Plains, Midwest, Great Lakes do phenomenal. And then the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast, obviously just huge amounts. This is much more confident than this, for instance, but this is, 2, 3, 4 feet of snowfall, and so is actually this as well. So again, like I said, let's backtrack it to before that major storm. That happens right at the end of the model run, and we still end up with more than what the European model called for, especially the further south you go. I mean, we're ending up with 10, 11, 12, 13 inches in a lot of these areas. For Kentucky, West Virginia, Delmarva, southern Maryland, we're ending up with, I would say, at least 8 to 12 inches from this model and what it's showing. So definitely a lot better than this look. Not too far off, but definitely a good 4, 5, 6 inches more than what the European model is showing. Here's the temperature pattern. Again, we're going to be really repetitively warming and cooling. We're really warm still for the day tomorrow along a lot of the southeast, but this cold is moving in for the 10th, 11th, 12th, and that is going to cool things down for most areas. But by the time we reach Wednesday, Thursday, we finally get another little flex of this southeast ridge reaching all the way up the mid-Atlantic. But we're primed to get this more major cold air moving in, so we will see this be very short-lived. This is the high temperatures of Thursday, and already by the high temperatures of Friday, we have cooled down for most areas in that little southeast ridge that tried to flex up. It moves back up again for Sunday, the 16th here, but by Monday, the 17th, we have brutally cold air. So these warm-ups, like I said, are about 12 to 24 hours at a time maximum, and we're ending up with a lot more cold air than warm. Again, Thursday, the 20th, it pops up. By Friday, the 21st, gone. We have the greens and kind of the purplish blues, which are 10, 15, 20 degrees below normal. So a huge flip in temperatures. And also that's going to aid in the instability with these thunderstorms. Let's say it's warm here on Thursday afternoon. I'm not really paying too much attention to what the precipitation is on this specific date, but let's say we're really humid, really warm, and there's a high precipitation cold front right here, and it's moving eastward. Well, that is going to reach a lot of instability as that cold and dry air interacts with this very warm air. So when we see this happening over and over and over again, that is going to lead you to believe that there's going to be multiple potential thunderstorm and severe weather events with these little warm noses followed by strong cold fronts. Warm nose, strong cold front, and over and over again. Definitely worth noting, and we end up cold at the end of the model run, which is another huge factor here. GFS models, same thing. Little warm nose, cool down, warm nose, cool down, warm nose, cool down. Little bits of warmth, but mostly cold towards the end. And this is even more significant. This is February 24th here, towards the end of the month. Very significant positive PNA out west. And it looks like cold air is just locked into the east here. So both model runs end us off on this note towards, post 20th time frame, which is a little out there, a little harder to predict. But it's significant that we get good agreement on both these models. So still everything looks really wintry. Very cold compared to what we've seen for the first, I would say, 8 days of February for most areas. and we're going to be flipping up and a lot closer to what we saw in January. I don't think we'll get quite as cold as January was historically cold in a lot of areas, but it's going to be a lot closer to that than what we've seen the first few days of February if you're comparing the two. So definitely colder, definitely a lot more snow opportunities even than what we saw in January. It's going to be an exciting time. So be sure to subscribe. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.